The Diamondbacks are 4.5 games from the final wild card spot. Do they really stand a chance to make it to the playoffs? Honestly.
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome to the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, the show where we talk nothing but the Diamondbacks Monday through Friday. And thank you so much for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen of every day. I'm your host, Diamondbacks. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Today, we're going to be talking about how the Diamondbacks have any shot at making the playoffs this year. There are 17 games left. They're 4.5 games back. Is it even possible? Well, I'll tell you. We are also, however, going to be talking about what Torey Lovullo, manager of the Diamondbacks, is even doing right now. What is he up to? How is he affecting whether or not we're going to make it to the postseason? But before we get to that, I want to recap last night's game. If you didn't watch, it was kind of a rough one. The first half of the game was a fun watch, back and forth. At one point, we were 4-4, looking pretty good. But by the end of the game, 11-5, Giants winning. Definitely not so good. It was a little bit of a home run derby where we didn't really compete all that much. However, there are some good things about this game and a little bit of optimism that I'd like to share with you guys as we go. But before we get to the fun, happy optimism stuff, let's crush some dreams a little bit and talk about this. So we had won 12 of 18 games up to this point. So the Diamondbacks are doing fairly well, but we did lose the final game in the Red Sox series on Sunday. Right? Sunday? Yes. And the Diamondbacks tend to, as well as most teams, they tend to go into the next series when they come off a loss, not super great. So this didn't catch me totally by surprise. Nabil, I'm going to try my best with that one. I feel like the announcers, Bob Brenly and Steve Berthiaume, change the pronunciation even every once in a while. But Krismat, I'll just say Krismat. He pitched a fairly solid 4 innings. He gave up only 3 hits, but 2 of those were 2-run home runs. Sorry, he gave up 6 hits. 6 hits, not great, but he didn't blow the whole game open. He had the offense behind him. The stakes were fairly low, and he gave up 2 very costly hits, which were 2-run home runs. But he did only pitch 4 innings, which I found a little bit strange. I would love to hear exactly what the reasoning behind that was. So hopefully Lovullo gives us some insight into why that is. He only pitched about 50 pitches as well. He was in the 50s. So it wasn't a pitch count thing, but maybe it was that he didn't want him to see the order for the 3rd time, or he didn't want to see the Giants to see him for a 3rd time. So perhaps a little bit of a gamble, and a gamble that didn't really work out. Now, the first inning after Krismat Garcia, who I had never seen before, he had pitched, or we got him in the trade with the Mariners. And so I was excited to see what he did in his first inning, the 5th inning. Perfect. 3 up, 3 down. I was like, yes, this is going to be great. And the very next inning, loads the bases and gets pulled. DeSclafani comes in, and 3 of those runs score. Another one scores. It was a rough inning for both Garcia and DeSclafani. I hope I'm saying his name right as well. This guys just got some tough names today. And then at that point, DeSclafani just stayed in the game for the rest of the game. I think Lovullo knew that this probably wasn't going to go anywhere good and didn't want to burn any more of his relievers, which I think was a smart decision. So maybe made a not so good decision with Krismat coming out so early, but did make a good one in just throwing the game, I guess. But DeSclafani, he did give up 4 hits, which doesn't sound like a lot in 4 innings, but 3 of them were home runs. So again, the Giants really had their home run derby last night. The other thing that was I wanted to bring up was, I brought this up yesterday in Sunday's game, was that at the end of the day, really probably what led to the loss against the Red Sox was what should have been easy plays that turned into errors. And I think last night was no different. We had a very costly error by Perdomo in that 6th inning that ended up giving up 5 runs to the Giants. And had he not made that error, there's a very good chance that none of that in that inning would have happened and the momentum would have stayed stagnant. The Giants got all the momentum after that, scored 5 runs, scored 100 more in the rest of the game. And I think that all started with that error. Now, the Giants had a few errors themselves that also led to runs. Perdomo is a fantastic defensive player. I'm not worried about anything, and I'm not sweating because of Perdomo. I'm not thinking we need to get him out of there or anything. Errors happen, but it is those little things that lead to losses, and little losses lead to you not making the playoffs. It's just right now we're so late in the season that these little losses are very big losses, and they really hurt. And they should. We need to feel that. The team needs to feel that and go into tonight's game and tomorrow's game with that kind of chip on their shoulder and play as perfect baseball as they can. So if they take that and they do it right and they don't let Garcia or DeSclafani pitch to the Giants for the rest of the year, then I think we have a shot. And the reason I say that too is I think Garcia and DeSclafani are good pitchers, but watching the game last night, and this was the same with Crismatt pitching, is the Giants were just squaring the ball up over and over and over again. Even when they weren't getting hits, they were getting loud outs, warning track pop flies, line drive outs. It was a hard time watching because they were just squaring that thing up. So I think hopefully they don't have Gallen's number tonight and we can use some other of our bullpen in that game. As far as offense, Perdomo and Carroll, absolutely nothing. 0 for 4, both guys. Carroll did get on base at one point, but on a fielder's choice. Jake McCarthy did have in his first at bat a bases clearing triple. That was pretty cool. He got 3 RBIs in a really awesome triple. Gave the Diamondbacks a bunch of momentum, a bunch of excitement. I hope we see more of that from Jake McCarthy. Blaze Alexander, another player that I really like and am following and hoping we see more of. He got an RBI and even managed to squeeze out not a double. He got a single. They threw the ball to third to try and get the runner. And in doing that, he stole second, essentially. So just creating chaos on the base paths, which is what the Diamondbacks do best. And Blaze Alexander is fitting in very well with that. So I really am happy with that. And I'm excited to see McCarthy getting some good reps in offense. Ketel Marte, he had come into this game with a 4-game hit drought and had 3 hits tonight. So he hopefully is back, and tomorrow and today we'll see more of that. So that'll be nice. And especially if Carroll and Perdomo can come and get some hits tonight as well, I think we're good to go. Moreno had a very good outing. He had a home run, had a couple good base hits. And right after Moreno's home run, this was in the 8th, we were down by 5. Moreno hits a home run, gets 1 run back. The very next pitch, Del Castillo, very nearly another home run, just wasn't quite enough. Wrong part of the baseball field. And I got really excited for a moment. I was like, never mind. So that was a little unfortunate. But I do want to point out, and listening to all this, if you're getting ready to get out of your car and go to work, just listen for just 1 second. The Diamondbacks did not play terrible baseball last night. It wasn't embarrassing. It wasn't hard to watch this team play. The Giants offense had our pitching figured out and they made the most of it. But the Diamondbacks definitely put up a fight, and I am still motivated to see them play tonight. I think they can win. I think they can win tomorrow. I think they can sweep the Giants in the series next week. So that leads to the next question. Are we out of contention now? We lost a very important game because every game counts, and we just lost a very crucial one. Well, we are not out of the race just yet, and I will explain why right after this break. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, it takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. Honestly, it is the easiest, fastest, and cheapest way I've ever had to get my own tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKED, locked, ONMLB, all one word, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. So what happened and where are we at now? We were 4.5 games out of the wildcard race yesterday morning. And today we are still 4.5 games out of the wildcard race. The Mets, who currently hold the final wildcard spot, lost last night. The Reds lost and the Cardinals lost. So we aren't the only losers last night. We're still in the same spot. The Padres and the Giants are the only ones who actually won. And the Padres, we don't really care about them. We're going to assume they got the second wild card spot. It's annoying, but they're probably gonna make it. So we're just gonna disregard the Padres. So really, we only have the Mets, Reds, Cardinals, and Giants. Giants obviously won, but if we can win the remaining games in this series, then we will not only be better than we are right now, but we'll actually be half a game above the Giants in the wild card race. We're only a game and a half behind them right now, so we're not totally out of it. So if we can win this series, then we're in a pretty good spot. But I did say last time, yesterday, that according to the metrics, and I looked at the win percentage of the final wild card spot, and it was sitting at about 531, which would end up being was 86, and I have my notes in front of me, but I did not write down the number of losses. It was 86 wins. You have to get 86 wins, assuming everybody plays the same or wins the same amount of games as they have all season, which is a very likely possibility. Then we need to win 86 games in order to top the Mets, top the Giants, top everybody else, and make it into the playoffs. But there are only 17 games left now, which means we need to go 14-3 for the rest of the season. And that is a pretty big ask. So if you ask me, do I think the Diamondbacks are going to make the postseason this year? My answer is probably not, but they could. And that's enough. The Diamondbacks probably weren't going to make it to the World Series in 2023, but they could have, and they did. So it's not out of the question. They absolutely still can do it. And if they win the series, this series today and tomorrow, if they win these next 2 games, then that puts us at 74 wins, only 12 wins away with 15 games left. Still, that's a big ask, but then we're ahead of the Giants, and assuming the Reds and the Cardinals lose one more game, that will put us at the very next spot in the wild card race. And if the Mets lose the next game or 2, then we are right there. So it's definitely not out of the question. That's asking a lot. And that was the position we were in last year. If you guys remember, we were at that weird position where we were like, okay, we hope the Mets lose, or we hope the Brewers lose, please lose. And they all won, and we went, oh, okay, well, I guess we're not going to the playoffs. So we're kind of in that same position again, unless we can really win 14 games in the remaining 17. Again, we went 12 of 18 leading up to yesterday's game. That's not quite the same percentage, but it does show that the Diamondbacks have momentum and they're growing as a team and they're playing better baseball. And we're playing now we are playing very good teams. We're going to be playing the Giants again. We're going to be playing the Padres. We're going to be playing the Dodgers. We're going to be playing the Phillies. So it's a big ask, but any team can beat any team. We've swept the Dodgers before. We've swept the Giants before. We've beaten the Padres before. So it could absolutely happen. Especially if the Padres have already clinched their spot, because I believe they're the last team we're playing. If they've already clinched their spot, there's a good chance that they won't be playing quite as hard as they would be if they hadn't. So maybe we want the Padres to clinch earlier than later. I don't know. That might be a dumb hot take. I'm not going to commit to that. But that's an interesting thought. So, again, do I think the Diamondbacks are going to make the playoffs? I don't really. I wouldn't put money on it, but I think it absolutely could happen. And they're not out of the race. We still got a lot of games left, and it's going to be really fun to watch. And if they don't make the playoffs, this is invaluable learning experiences and opportunities for the players that are coming up. We have Blaze Alexander, we have Jordan Lawler, we have Adrian Del Castillo, we have Jake McCarthy. We have all these different players. We have all these bullpen arms that we have now. We have Garcia. We have these guys that need to see real life situations, especially high leverage situations, high stress situations like we're in right now, so that when we come back next year, they've already been through all that. Oh, it's opening day. I've already seen an MLB series against the best team in baseball. I've already played that. And it's something that they can then build off of. So I want to talk more about that. And I want to talk about Torey Lovullo's position in that as well, because a lot of people really like to harp on Torey Lovullo, and it's easy to. And a lot of them have reason. And there was reason. Again, he pulled Crismatt very early. I don't know why. He put in Garcia. He put in Disclafani. So obviously some choices were made, not correct choices. But what is he doing? What's his plan? And how is that going to shape out for the remainder of the year and next year? Well, guess what? We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I know for me, as a business owner, one of the most stressful parts is the financial organization, and also happens to be one of my least knowledgeable parts. With Monarch, that is a thing of the past. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. So Torey Lovullo, my best friend, obviously, is under a lot of fire, a lot of heat about this team and about his position moving forward. I said last night, or I said yesterday morning, I guess. Sorry, I'm getting my nights and mornings all confused. There's no windows in here, so it's hard to tell what time of day it is. I said yesterday morning that I believe Torey Lovullo should be the manager for the Diamondbacks next year moving forward. I still believe that because of his skills and where the team is at right now. But I also mentioned that he has two different options when it comes to managing his team. He can manage the remaining 17 games as if he is trying to make the postseason with everything he's got. He is playing for this year. Or he can play the long game and play for next year. He can play to develop players. He can play to see different matchups and who does good where, and all of these little details that will make a big difference and give him a head start in next season. So he could play for this year or he could play for next year. Today, it really looks like he is playing for next year. And he's not, his priority isn't make it to the playoffs. Now, is that a bad thing? I don't really think so. I think that what Lovullo is doing is absolutely the right play, because let's look at it this way. If he is heck bent on getting to the playoffs this year, then he is playing nobody but his guaranteed good players, and all of the young players, all the young guys, he has them on the bench. He uses them only when absolutely necessary, and he's running his pitchers long games because he has to go deep into the game. He has to, we have to win these games, and he will do whatever he has to win. But that comes at a big cost. It burns people out, and it leaves a lot of these young players without the opportunity to get reps in games. And then my prediction, we then make it to the playoffs, and our team is so burnt out, so tired. The young guys can't come in and reinforce the older players because they didn't get any experience. And so we get eliminated in the first, maybe the second round if we're lucky. But we're most likely swept by the Dodgers in round one. That's probably what happens if Lovullo is just playing for this year and that's it. Alternatively, he's playing for next year, which I've already mentioned. It's giving these guys reps, giving them opportunity to see what it's like to hit in a Major League Baseball game, high leverage situations, and how to be clutch and how to get over those nerves. Jordan Lawlar so far is showing, I think that is the patience that Lovullo has had in Jordan Lawlar is starting to pay off. Starting to. It hasn't quite paid off yet. We don't know for sure, but he's finally getting hits. He's getting RBIs. He's getting clutch base hits, and even most of the time, not on Sunday, but most of the time making great defensive plays. So that is what we have in store if he's playing for next season. But the thing that's really special about playing for next year is that he's been doing that for the last month. And this last month has been the best baseball the Diamondbacks have played all year. So if we are going to make it to the playoffs, and if we're going to get through the playoffs to any degree, I think it needs to be with the young developing players, not just the older players. I say older, Corbin Carroll's like a super old 27 or something, the old man, but you know what I mean, the more experienced players. And so what you have is, on one hand, you have maybe a playoff position, but just to get eliminated, you burn your guys out, you don't develop any players. On the other hand, you do develop players, you don't burn anybody out, you play good baseball, and then there's a chance that you still make the playoffs. Honestly, probably about the same chance that you make the playoffs. And then, because you're not burnt out, you might actually make it through the playoffs a good bit. I don't know. Again, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. Don't put money on that unless you got a lot of money to spend and do whatever you want. But I'm going to spend my money on, chocolate milk or something. I really like chocolate milk. If you guys want to buy me chocolate milk, go ahead and do that. I would accept gladly. But back to the topic at hand. I think Torey Lovullo is doing absolutely the right thing. And it might look to a lot of fans like he is sabotaging the team. And it kind of feels that way sometimes. I know I felt pretty confused when after 4 innings, Chris Matt comes out. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh, man, we got Logan Webb on the ropes. He's got already 90 pitches, and he's going to be out in the next inning. And we got like 3 more innings, and Chris Matt. And then Lovullo pulls him, and I'm like, what are you doing, man? And it did end up costing the game, I think, probably. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it would have lost either way. But it did feel kind of like, oh, he's sabotaging it or something like that. But I think he is playing the long game, and I think that's what the Diamondbacks need to do, because Torey Lovullo hasn't had a perfect record by any means, but you see he has his strong seasons when he has this young team, the chip on their shoulder, and he brings them together and they accomplish something amazing. You saw it in 2017 when they made it to the playoffs for the first time in a very long time. Then you saw it in 2023. They made it to the playoffs again. And then they made it all the way to the World Series. And I think that's going to happen again in 2026, is you get this spike and then it kind of dips back down, and then he rebuilds, and then they come back better. And then things break down again. And he rebuilds and he reorganizes, and then they come back, hopefully, even better. And there's only one place to go from World Series runner-up. So I have a very good feeling about 2026, so long as Lovullo is at the helm. I think if they get rid of Lovullo right now, I'm very nervous about 2026. Could end up working out fine, but I'm very nervous. I feel much better with him at the helm, with this team, with these young guys, and see what Mike Hazen can pull in during the offseason. I'm very excited for what the Diamondbacks have in store for us. And again, if they make the playoffs this year, if they make it to the postseason, they get that final wild card spot, they get to put up another banner in their outfield wall that says 2025 wild card. Icing on the cake. Wonderful. That's so exciting, especially as I just started this podcast. This would be so rad, right? Start this cool new podcast and they make it to the playoffs. Oh man, that'd be awesome. But either way, I'm super, super stoked and super excited to see what happens. That being said, tonight we have what in my mind is an elimination game of sorts. If we lose tonight, I'm probably looking forward to next year more than I am to this year. It is in San Francisco once again. Zach Gallen will be facing off against the former Diamondback pitcher, Robbie Ray. I will be back here first thing tomorrow morning, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you are just dying to see more of Danon, you can go to slackshack.tv, where our production company is. We have other YouTube channels on there. If you like video games, or if you like short films and fan films and things like that, you'll find lots of that stuff over on Slack Shack TV, so go ahead and check that out. And we are on YouTube, as well as all other places you get your podcasts. So if you're just listening to this, go ahead and head on over to YouTube and you can look at my beautiful mug. Thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. My name is Danon Biggs, and we will see you tomorrow.